Nick, 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 Nick.
G'day, g'day. Now, the first Predator movie was something I thoroughly enjoyed as a kid, and it's one of the best action movies you'll watch, which is probably what helped Concrete Jungle hold a nostalgic place for me. But Rugrats holds an even more special place in my heart. The show is one of my OG shows that I watched as a kid. It's one of those nostalgic things that you have nothing but fond memories of, until you try re-watching it and see how rough it looked. Yeah, it probably hasn't aged as well, might look a bit how you going, but it's still full of charm and brings you back to better days. Search for Reptar is pretty much the video game version of that sort of feeling. I played this game quite a lot with my cousins, so it has a lot of really good memories associated with it, and at the time I considered it to be a pretty solid platformer. Very true to the show in terms of design, characters and sound as well, which is absolutely necessary when dealing with any licensed product. But those fond memories are just that. Memories. What's my opinion going to be of the game now, and have I been blinded by nostalgia? I remember the missions, if you want to call them that, or levels would be a better name, being fun, and I always enjoyed the mini-golf level, despite the absolute horror it put me through. More on that later. Platforming was fine by memory. The only other things I remembered before booting the game up was that it very much looked like the show and had all the voice actors from it. It was essentially an episode of the show in many ways, which is what I'd want out of a licensed product, especially one so close to my heart. Let's have a squiz at the game now. If you're going to emulate this game, be prepared to enter the settings straight away to turn the audio down. The ear rape is too much otherwise. So the puzzle pieces from Tommy's Reptar puzzle have gone missing, and you complete various levels which reward you with a puzzle piece upon completion, with a couple of bonus levels thrown in between which, if you're successful, will also reward you with a puzzle piece. There's your story and goal of the game. At the start of the game and the beginning and end of each mission, you're treated to a cutscene. Due to this game emulating the show pretty well, it's nice to hear everyone's voices again.
What's wrong?
Either a lot of the puzzle pieces are missing, or it's the easiest puzzle ever.
God, he's so proud of himself for that joke. Smug bastard. Visually, as I said before, the game really does look like the show. Yes, it's going to be a little rough due to the low polygon count, but I don't think I can hold that fact against it. It still very much uses the same art style in a sense, and all the locations you visit are very faithful to the original show. The music and character voices just help to solidify the feeling that watching the show gives you. Gameplay wise, you'll be platforming, racing, fighting, kinda, and shooting, sort of, your way through all sorts of areas and scenarios. This game released on a system that used a D-pad for movement, so it was very authentic to not use the analog stick and instead ruin my thumb. I've clearly grown soft over the years from using a stick for my movements, because although I only spent about an hour and a half with this game, my thumb didn't feel too good by the end of it. I definitely don't miss this era of games when it comes to quality of life things and control advancements. We definitely have it much better today. You get to play as multiple characters throughout the game, but this doesn't bring any significant changes. Even when playing as Spike, the dog, you're still going to be utilising the same movement options as the babies, and get stuck with the same stiff controls. For camera controls, your options are limited to pivoting the camera to the right and left manually, or letting the camera move itself around based on your movement. It can feel a little weird at first if you're not used to it, and with there only being 4 directions of movement, it's not exactly precise. Remember, there was no second analog stick for the PS1 originally, and when they did bring one in, not all games used it in the way we control cameras these days. Little frustrating to have to go back to, but again, it's a limitation of the hardware at the time, so I don't think I could fairly complain about it too much. Instead, it's just a little complaint that subsequent games have now addressed by using a second analog stick for cameras. Some better than others, mind you, but at least it's something that evolved in gaming. Between each level, you explore Tommy's house and interact with certain objects to kick off the next level. It is pretty cool to be able to explore the house in its entirety and adds to that charm from the show. I'll now go through each level, which shouldn't take very long given it's only about a 90-minute game. So we start with the one I definitely played the most as a kid, Mini Golf, or Ice Cream Mountain as the level is actually called. There are 9 holes to complete and you play each one as a different kid. Nothing changes between them. As I said before, everyone controls the same, so the only thing you'll have to deal with is the constant voice lines, whether it's from the baby you're playing as or the fucking staff working there.
Want some ice cream? Psych! You don't want all that ice cream anyway! Boy, talk about some ice cream? You don't want all that ice cream anyway! Want some ice cream? Boy, talk about phlegm!
This is something I'll happily criticize. Fuck me dead, having the same voice lines on repeat and occurring this often should never have been a thing in this game. It just grinds away at your brain matter every time you fucking have to hear this cunt talk about phlegm.
Shut up!
Apart from the horror that is these repeated voice lines, there's something else that really scared the shit out of me as a kid. There I was, poor 5 or maybe 6-year-old me, noticing a spot to walk through in one of the holes. For me, I was suddenly lost in an infinite labyrinth, despite there being only about 4 turns to make to get out of there. Before I heard a strange noise and BAM! This fucking mummy cunt is just sitting there waiting to frighten the life out of you. This is my first horror experience right here. He does nothing to you at least. Once you manage to calm your heart down, just lead him outside to destroy him. Holy fuck though, as a kid this was just absolutely terrorizing, and it would be a couple more years before I actually played my first horror title, but as far as I was concerned, this was what horror is. Egg hunt. Collect the eggs scattered around the house. Not even the whole house, as some areas are closed off completely. I guess that explains the easy difficulty. Chucky's glasses. Everyone is playing hide and seek. When you find another character you have to race them back to the playpen. A decent level to highlight the issue with the camera, but still easy enough to get through. Bonus level 1. Angelica the absolute pig wants to eat all the fucking cookies. You need to munch them all down and throw the box to the other babies before Angelica can grab them. The mysterious Mr. Friend. This is a fighting based level, but the fighting can be a little awkward. You have to pick up some cans and throw them at Mr. Friend to destroy him. During the second phase you can apparently do some weird kick thing, but it's just asking to be killed as you have to walk right up to the robot and actually attack him head on. Just stay away and throw the objects instead from a distance. It's much safer that way. The 4-way movement pattern becomes extra annoying here because you have to try to line yourself up with the bastard to throw the cans at him, but otherwise it's fairly easy. Bonus level 2. Collect balloons without letting the timer reach 0. That's it. The most annoying thing about this level is that it's just a time waste. It feels like it takes forever to complete. But onwards. Grandpa's teeth. Help Grandpa find Spike and get his teeth back. This is one of the more engaging levels as you have to navigate a maze and avoid a goddamn goose that's running amok. I missed a couple of turns I needed to make so many times just because the camera would spaz out and make me lose track of where I was going. You find Spike and take part in an on the rails section to chase the goose and help Chucky. Pretty easy stuff. Lastly, you have to defeat the goose by hitting it with hockey pucks whilst it chases Chucky around. Honestly, it's kind of fun to go through something with a bit more substance and content, but I guess that's why the shorter levels are rated as easy. Incident on aisle 7, the first hard level I played. Tommy works his way through a supermarket to find Reptar cereal. The difficulty level is definitely increased as there are now more objects to avoid, surfaces to navigate such as sliding around on ice and more platforming. You've even got a couple of little boss battles to take part in and a few little enemies that are going to be scattered around the floor. Seems as though the more interesting levels are tied directly to the difficulty. At least my brain was more stimulated during this level. Bonus level 3. It's literally a rehash of the cookie bonus level, but this time it's a bottle of chocolate milk that you need to chug through. 7 Voyages of Cynthia. You take control of Spike in this level as he helps find Angelica's doll Cynthia. Think Barbie on crack, essentially. You have to navigate through a sewer and then a dump to find her. Due to the controls, I found it easier to just run straight through the sewer water despite it dealing damage, as several jumps kept on missing and I had trouble actually landing on some of the platforms. It's pretty easy to just power your way through, but remains interesting in comparison to some of the easier levels. At least it tries to offer something that's more of a challenge, even if it is just through the pretty bad controls. Toy Palace. Tommy and Chucky are let loose in a toy store. Chucky's section at the beginning can be powered through very easily, despite several objects seemingly getting in the way. All you have to do is simply run straight past them. When reunited with Tommy, you simply have to stack some Reptar boxes in order to get to the activation lever to turn the robot Reptar on. There's no other challenges for this part of the level. Bonus level 4. You collect coins. Very much akin to the egg hunting, you just run around collecting coins before the timer runs out. Not exactly engaging. Circus Angelicus. Angelica wants to set up her own little circus act with Spike and the babies. First you jump over some hurdles to collect bones as Spike, then you play as the twins, Phil and Lil, and ride your tricycle onto a target, and finally, as Angelica, you launch Chucky into a pile of leaves. At this point I'd collected all the puzzle pieces, but we'll come back to that soon. The Cookie Race. Race Angelica to the kitchen. Visitors from outer space. This is probably the most interesting one just for the setting and premise alone. All the kids are kidnapped by aliens, and as Angelica, you'll be running around trying to escape. You have a little remote that you use to stun robots, and at a later section we'll have to navigate in 0G. Navigating the vents in this level can be a bit of a pain, but otherwise it's fine to play through. I'd actually say this is probably the best level in the whole game, which is a shame because some of the levels do have a little bit of promise. It's just that overall it's awfully short, and then you have the issue of the easier levels being way too easy and definitely way too short. Let there be light. Tommy is trying to bring the light back after a blackout by retrieving it from the fridge. Yes, you heard that sentence right. Haha, dumb baby. Whilst making your way through the house, you'll encounter ghosts that are killed by shining a torch at them. If the battery goes out, you have to look around for spares to recharge it. You can't open the fridge by yourself though and have to find Spike to give you a hand. The fuckwit would just be standing in a random spot of the house, so go collect him and he'll open the fridge for you. Level complete. So that's all the base levels and bonus levels. Back to the completion of the puzzle. Once completed, Tommy will go to sleep and dream of a level where you play as Reptar himself. Reptar 2010? That was 10 years ago. Holy fuck, I'm getting old. As a kid, this was a super cool level to play through over and over again, but now I realise how little was needed to entertain me back then. Funny how the simplest of things could seem so fun as a kid, and now I just need to have my brain stimulated even more so. You walk through a level, smashing cars and smashing buildings, and then get treated to a little dance-off by Reptar before the credits. The best part is when that nostalgic music hits you right in the soul as the credits roll. So despite the complaining and the fact that the game is probably about an hour and 10 minutes long roughly, did I enjoy myself? Yeah, I honestly did. Nostalgia plays a huge role when it comes to replaying older games, so for me this is just reliving happy memories and being reminded of good times from my childhood. A lot of the enjoyment that I do remember having as a kid definitely wasn't recreated with this playthrough though. It definitely is pretty rough to play, and there are issues that I spoke about with the controls, the camera, mainly due to the hardware at the time. And there's also the fact that the game itself is incredibly short and the levels are far too easy. But as I said, the show, it's important to me, so I love hearing all the old voices and seeing the series art style, music and charm, even if it is on a system that couldn't exactly emulate the show graphically due to the hardware limitations. I guess subjectively, I did actually really enjoy my time with this game again. It was nice to see it again after not having played it for probably a good 19, maybe even 20 years. It has been a long time. My final rating is 10 out of 10. Would relive childhood memories again. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, have a good one.